I'm Riley Harvey for VCN, and we're live tonight for another thrilling installment of the Handicap race. We are tonight on the Leuven City circuit. It's a very lumpy circuit. I think that's a good way to describe it. Nothing too extreme, but the ones that are there will bite quite quickly. Got a good few riders in tonight, and looking for an exciting race. The race is a weight handicapped race, which I'm sure lots of you will be bored about me going on about, but basically it's done to even the playing field between those elite riders who've got lots in the tank and those riders who perhaps are not able to ride as frequently, are a little bit older, a little bit younger. So everyone gets a handicap that levels it up, makes it more competitive. Also means that you have to pay a lot more attention to your terrain to make your attack points. And if you're a lighter rider, if you've lost weight due to the handicap, you need to make sure that you're making the most of that by attacking on the hills and sticking with the heavier riders on the flat sections. Just having a look at who's in the start pen. We've got a few bots in here, but we've got Rob Marshall, Jordan Twiddy, Sorensen, Darren Ray, Will Usher, the architect of this disaster, Jordan Twiddy, Kennedy, Stuart Ludlow, flapped up there. And Andy Folks is in there. Can't see Kate Ouellette, Guy Hepner, regular for the PRT handicap race. John Cook's in there as well. Yeah, that's Bob Gorman. It's good to see Bob taking part in the event. And Seamus Butler looks like there. Now we've got 28 seconds left to go. Head up to the front of the race and we will see who's in there. A lot of the riders tonight making use of the new voice feature. Been released in the latest update of RGT and is looking like it's set to replace Discord as the go-to voice chat in the game. Looking like it's going to cause some upsets in the racing as well. As we are underway, and as per usual, an absolutely flying start for these riders. Will Deegan, good to see Will Deegan back in the game. He's been off for a few weeks. Being followed by David Brookhuizen and then Darren Ray, Stuart Ludlow. B. Grauf is in there. Dirty Dan from Team Dirt in there as well. We've had the ARL race series running on RGT, which has been sponsored by Lacol, and it's looking like it's brought some newer riders into the platform as well. We've got Rob Stone is in the mix as well. It's Rob at the back of this group there in the Team Lou. Steve Shrubsall. Steve got a real big engine on him. Struggles a little bit with the hills. I mean, I struggle with the hills. We all struggle with the hills, but you've got a big engine, you've got a big FTP, you have a big weight penalty, which affects you going up those lumpy bits. Let's see Will Usher there in 11th position. Just saw some of those riders come into a bit of a stop there. RGT does have auto braking, so if you ride up to the back of a rider, if you're not putting out significantly more watts than they are, it will put you into the drafting pocket behind them and you may end up being auto braked. See Grauf going off the front there, and there's another rider that's flown off the front, who we will just go up and have a check on. So we've got Grauf there coming through, and it's Bass at the front there at 3.1 watts per kilogram. They are now 450 watts. So just know, they are carrying, they are weighing quite a bit there. I think that puts them at around about 150 kilos. So they're putting out significant amount of wattage here for their weight in game. Rob Stone is leading the chasing group with Steve Shrubsall and Muzz there. Bass up at 3.1 watts per kilogram and pushing it. They are opening up a big lead on the chasing group, 140 meters. Just seeing them coming round the corner there. Bass leading 160 meters now. We're going to drop back to the chase group. See Ralph there once again coming to the front. Andy Folks riding his Buffalo bike there. Very proud owner of the Buffalo bike. Just making sure he uses it every opportunity. And Rob Stone, well-known rider from Team Lou, following in there. Oystenson, Team 3R. And those three riders, three strong riders there, just slightly edging away from the group behind. Ippens there. Slight gaps opening up, nothing too serious. We are yet to hit the first of the significant climbs. Guy Hepner there. Midst. Big group here. Just drop back and we'll check in on some of the other riders. So Christoph Contant in the chat, giving a shout out to Jürgen Janssens. See a big sea of yellow and black here, but there's some Team TFC riders in here as well. Very similar kits to, well, not that similar, but quite similar to PRT. Darren Ray. Dropping back there. O'Cook. Lou Ricks. The famous Lou Ricks there in the race, in the mix, joining his Team Lou comrades. Jay Williams, unfortunately, just dropped on the camera there with them and just having some issues. Little Child running through there. D Good. Good evening, Christoph. It's good to have you on the chat. A W Bass is a flying machine. They look like they're weighing around about 150 kilograms tonight in the PRT handicap event. If you can check that, Christoph, and see if you agree with me. See, I think Seamus Butler there in 67th with Ian Hurst. Good to see Ian Hurst, who's been out in the real world for a while. Ian's used to be a regular on the PRT handicap races. Out in the real world doing the park run and lots of riding in real life, as we got Odikov and Finnegan there. Tom Smith. Got Jay Brown just further back. And we're back to Bass. Now Bass is on first of the significant climbs. I think this is Wimpers here that we're going up. They're pushing out 3.3, 3.4 watts per kilogram. Darren Ray behind is really attacking with 5.5 watts. See Oystenson there from Team 3R. going through. So Bass has really suffered there, carrying that 150 kilograms up that lump has been a real pain for them, a real labour. And they're coming round with Rob Stone, Oystensen, and David Brookhusen, and Jürgen Janssens, who we just mentioned, Christoph just mentioned, is coming through as well. They've just come through the end of that segment there. And the gap come down from 140 metres to around 70, but now we're back onto the flat and descending. Looks like Bass is managing to open that gap back up again. Are up at 420, 430. And Rob Stone here with Oystensen, and a gap opened up to the big group that was there before. There's a little splinter group of Steve Strubsel, David Brookhusen, and Jürgen Janssens trying to bridge across to Rob Stone and Oystensen here. As I say, the chat feature being used in the voice feature, perhaps I should refer to it by its proper name, is being used in the game tonight. And lots of the riders are in that channel, listening to each other, listening to team tactics, and listening to, no doubt, lots of panting and heavy breathing. Rob Stone and Oystensen just setting a steady pace here. Strubsel leading the charge of these following riders. David Brookhusen, Grauf back in the mix. And it's Grauf that pushes on. Strubsel jumps onto the wheel. Gradually covering the gap up to Stone and Oystensen up ahead, bringing with him Strubsel and Himpens. We're into the next climb now. Longer climb with much less fierce gradients. Brookhusen and Janssen still with this group. Grauf doing the work on the front. Steve Strubsel just suffering somewhat with this increasing gradient, going up to 3.7%, 4.3% now. Brookhusen takes the lead. Grauf slows as well. Brookhusen slightly lighter rider. Going with him is Janssens. Once again, we can see at the front of the race Rob Stone, Oystensen, and coming within touching distance once again is Bass. So Bass being slowed considerably by these inclines. Oystensen, Rob Stone surviving slightly better. Gap still out at 70 meters currently though. We are cresting this climb. Only 2 laps of this event tonight. I'm sure that racers will agree that's plenty on this course. Grauf as the course flattens out. once again jumps forward, drags riders with him. David Brookhuizen, and careful to be on the wheel and enjoy the drafting benefit. Saving 70 watts in the wheel of Grauf here. Saving just diminished slightly as Brookhuizen goes to the side as Grauf. Impens just distance slightly. Behind him, Steve Shrubsall. These flatter sections and slight descents favouring Steve's outright power. So with the way the formula works, the formula's worked out against watts per kilogram, so you should really be limited to around about 3.2 watts per kilogram as an average for the event. And it means that certain riders will carry a weight penalty. It will affect them going up the hills, but going flat or downhill will not affect them at all. It should really give them a slight benefit on the downhills. So Steve Shrubsall flying past people there without having to apply any power. Then once we're back into the climbing section, see that even though he's putting out big wattage, 450 watts, because of the weight that's applied with the handicap, he's struggling to get up these hills. Not particularly long, but they are sharp inclines. Up at 8% here. See all the power numbers of the riders going red. They are deep into the banning. So just underneath the riders' names, you've got the power that they're exerting, and it's shown in relation to their FTP. Red is significantly above FTP. Grauf, Jürgen Janssens. Louis Bass now been passed by Rob Stone. Rob Stone's managed to reel him in and pass him. And these flatter sections, we're going to tell a different story again as Bass is looking to recover some of the distance on Rob Stone, and he does very quickly close that gap. Be interesting to see how these two work together as Rob Stone does a couple of digs. Bass makes it up to the back wheel. You'll be able to see the drafting advantage for Bass increasing slowly. And he gets to the wheel of Rob Stone and continues over the top. Very confident riding from Bass there. And Rob, surprisingly, misses that drafting opportunity. He's having to put in an effort now to get back to the wheel of Bass. See, he's putting in a big effort here, digging deep. 103 watt saving there in the wheel of Bass. So currently Rob Stone's pushing 560 watts. That's the equivalent of 650 watts that he's putting down on the road at the moment with that drafting benefit. Going very deep to get into the wheel of Bass here, and Bass just consistently on that power. Jump forward to Bass, can see Bass is constantly pushing 440, 450 watts. gap back to Rob Stone just increasing slightly. Rob will not be really gaining any drafting benefit here. Yeah, the drafting benefit for Rob's diminished. You have to wait until the next point to attack. Graf, next rider on the road, third position. He's just managing to drop Oystensons and Jürgen Janssens. The Shrubsall in sixth position. Slightly in no man's land. The only rider he's got with him is David Brookhuizen. David is a slightly lighter rider. Struggling on the flats, but gaining distance on the climbs. And with Morris, Kennedy, big grouping here of Bierun, Ludlow, Andy Folkes, Will Deegan, Farrow, Guy Hepner. And Will Usher in there as well. See if Will's using his usual tactic of sticking with the group until the last 100 meters and then dropping them all with a ferocious sprint. To the back of that group is Will Deegan. Now with Dirty Dan, 20th position. Himpens and Ian Muzz, 22nd. 23rd, sorry, 21st and 22nd. Krasnoborski being chased down by Jordan Twiddy, Bob Gordman and Orokov. Another grouping of Gussie Guscott, S. Wheeler, Rob Marshall and Bean. And John Cook with Lou Ricks. And they're being chased down by Ian Hurst and Adams. And Lavelle tucked in there with a group of the bots. Sorensen, another group of bots there. The bots are added in for just this purpose, really. If you a rider who's missed the boat, perhaps you're a little bit late, you missed a break in the race, and you can still have some bots to race yourself to the finish with, ride to the finish with us. See Good there and Little Child. And Williams in the OTR kit. Walker. Schumacher. And with Finnegan. Butler. And Tom Smith. Fly back up to the front of the race and see how things are going between Bass and Rob Stone. So Bass opened up a big gap here on Rob Stone of 225 meters. Grauf is closing in on Rob Stone. Bass continuing to push. Rob Stone 144 meters back. Grauf closing in. Jürgen Janssen in 4th position there. Just looking at Jürgen there, I think it's possible Jürgen's not had his weight altered. 3.9, 4.3 watts per kilogram. The bar underneath his name should really be turning red. Probably just an oversight by Jürgen there. Could be wrong, but usually with the riders, that's how you can see quite easily if they're got the weight adjusted in comparison to their FTP. Zoe Stenson is in 5th position. Steve Shrubsall closing the gap up to Zoe Stenson there. It's flatter terrain, a little bit more suited. Brookhuizen being caught now by the group of Deegan Ludlow, Darren Ray, Kennedy, Willisher, Guy Hepner. Big group. These guys perhaps using the radio to work together a bit more efficiently. The voice chat, making it easier to take turns and to push through. Stringing out a little bit there though. .4 kilometers at the end of the first lap. These riders. Steve there, closing on the wheel of Lee Stenson. Just getting some drafting benefit there. Bass far and away in front at the moment. He's been hitting that 3 watts per kilogram almost consistently. Been there 3.1 all the way through. Stone and Grout just battling each other. Shrubsall now with a grouping of Shrubsall, Lee Stenson and Jürgen Janssens. Grout just puts in an effort, tries to distance Rob Stone. Rob just back to the wheel. Russell Janssens, Lee Stenson. Like a team time trial. Once again, Grouf digging deep, trying to dislodge Rob Stone. So we are live at VCN chat. So if you're on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook, if you send your chats through, your messages through, they will come through to us on chat and we'll be able to respond to you directly. And if you haven't done already, if you take a moment to like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. Steve Trubsell there, just happy to sit in. Let somebody else do the pulling for a few minutes. Still hitting those targets. 460 now as we're coming up this climb. Ralph, Rob Stone. Stenson, Shrubsell and Janssens all coming up to this climb now. Beer on the next rider back. Slightly in no man's land, they managed to break away from the group of Maurice Ludlow and Andy Folkes. Not making massive inroads into the men in front of them. Distance closed slightly to Rob Stone with that climb, but still a big lead. Rob Stone slightly in front of Grouf. Grouf's earlier attacks not been able to hit the mark. It's looking like it's more or less a foregone certainty that Bass is going to cross the line first. This is going to be the interesting part of the race here, as Grouf and Rob Stone have just under 10 kilometers left to go. Who is going to put the other into the hurt locker? There's a quote from Filippo Ganna that I read today, that when he was doing the hour record he debated crashing. The pain was that intense in the last quarter that felt like crashing would be preferable to continuing to finishing the attempt. As Jürgen Janssens managed to just distance from Steve Shrubsel and Oystensen. That climb was enough to fragment that group of three that were climbing and riding together. Janssens making the most of it and opening up a gap of 195 meters on Steve Shrubsel, and Oystensen, Team 3R, in 6th position currently, has now been distanced by 72 meters by Steve Shrubsel. Steve onto the flatter and descending sections now, so we can expect that gap to open up slightly to Janssens. Oystensen. And Brookhuizen there with Kennedy Morris, Will Usher, Will Deegan, Darren Ray. Big group. Swallowing up David Brookhuizen. And Bierun, who was on his own previously, back in the group. Stenson, Shrubsel, Janssens, and Grauf, and Stone once again locked together. Come round the turn at the top of the circuit. Grauf just into the lead and setting the pace. This is the Kaisersberg that we're attacking now. Longest climb on the circuit. Not quite as intense in gradient as the other climbs are, but it does go on for a longer distance. De Kooslaan. It's the De Kooslaan. I was wrong there with my choice of climbs. De Kooslaan, and yeah, it is the longest, as you can see in the distance there. Half lap marker. These riders moving towards it at a pace. 4.6% slope, and they're still moving on at 22 kilometers per hour. At this pace, there is a draft to be had, so it can be quite tactical to see whether you sit behind the rider in front or you try and push on and set your own pace. Bass, 7.1 kilometers remaining, 390 meters over a small grouping of Rob Stone and B. Grau. Too far in the distance, even on a straight like this, to see them.